Hello everyone, I am back to show you what we're going to be doing today for Tuesday, May 26th, Wednesday, May 27th. We're going to be starting lesson number 2 of our science unit. So you can look here on my calendar and we're going to be looking at what are some properties of waves. So today we'll read pages 38 and 39 and then we will start our investigation, complete our diagram on page 40, and then do the writing prompt. I'll read the writing prompt real quick, but I'll come back to it at the end. You are standing in front of a large body of water like the Puget Sound. Write a paragraph using text evidence and words such as crest, trough, and amplitude to explain how the water moves. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our reading for lesson number 2. Here we go. The properties of water waves. Think about being in a swimming pool on a warm summer day. The water is cold, so you step into it slowly. Your friend has a different idea. He jumps into the pool. Splash! The waves that you make are small, but the waves that your friend makes are much larger. The amplitude of water waves. The water waves that you and your friend made are both water waves, but different. One of the ways you can tell these waves apart is by their amplitude. A wave's amplitude describes how big the wave is. Amplitude is the largest distance that matter moves from its rest position. In water waves, the rest position is midway between the crest and the trough of the wave. The amplitude of a water wave is the distance from its rest position to the crest. From the rest to its crest. The distance from the rest positions to the trough is also the amplitude of the wave. Matter returns to its rest position after a wave has passed through it. When you and your friend jumped into the pool, the waves you caused had different patterns. When you stepped in, the waves had a small amplitude. When your friend jumped in, the waves had a large amplitude. So you can see right here on this picture, that dotted line is where the water will normally sit at. And when a wave happens, like a splash, we have amplitude of it rising and going through its trough. So crest, trough, and it eventually slows down and goes back to its rest position. The wavelength of water waves. The crests and troughs of a water wave can also be used to measure another property called wavelength. Wavelength is how stretched out a wave looks. It is the distance between one crest and the next crest in a wave. A distance between the trough and the next trough is also called, is also wavelength. These distances are the same. If the crests of a water wave are closer together, the wave has a short wavelength. If the crests are far apart, it has a long wavelength. Water waves can be very different wavelengths. The wavelength of a wave in a pool might be 1 meter long. In a sink, the wavelength might be only a few centimeters. The crests are farther apart in the wave in the pool than they are the wave in a sink. The water wave in the pool has a longer wavelength, and the water wave in a sink has a shorter wavelength. The frequency of waves. Water waves have a third property called frequency. Frequency is how often a crest passes a certain point in a certain amount of time. The frequency of a wave depends on its wavelength and how fast the wave moves. You can count crests to measure the frequency. For example, you could count how many crests pass you in 1 minute as you stand in shallow part of a pool. If 12 crests pass you, then the frequency would be 12 crests per minute. All right, so we've learned 3 important vocabulary words. One was the last one, frequency. That is how fast the wave moves. Then we have wavelength. That is how big the distance is between the waves. We got slow or long wavelengths, and then you can have fast little wavelengths. And the last, or the first, I should say, that we learned about was the amplitude. That is how high and how low your wave goes. Your assignment is to look and label the diagram below. Okay, so you need to fill out the different vocabulary words that we learned. Frequency, wavelength, amplitude, crest, and trough. And that would be completing the diagram on page 40. Now your wrong page. Now your writing prompt says, you are standing in front of a large body of water like the Puget Sound. Write a paragraph using evidence in words such as crest, trough, and amplitude to explain how the water moves. I want you to pretend that you are standing in the ocean or in the Puget Sound. Explain what the waves are doing. Talk about how fast they are moving through using those vocabulary words. Alrighty. You may send that to your teacher however they have decided. Typically for mine, I like you to send it to me on Seesaw. If you've got any questions, please make sure you ask your teacher. Thank you.